Hello viewers and welcome to another episode of Your Comments Chat, where I talk about various feedback from you guys in the comments. And I do this because sometimes when I'm writing comments I don't always feel that my approach is always it feels like sometimes I might be direct, and sometimes when I'm dealing with sometimes hundreds of comments, you just answer that comment straight. You haven't got time to word it all nicely or anything. You just get on with it best you can. Or sometimes, my approach to writing is simply, different to the way people receive it. So that's why people like myself prefer to be more of a talker than a typer in that sense, and I prefer to discuss things in this way because I feel that we're disconnected from the audience sometimes by a kind of shield of YouTube. I think in a way that's why people these days often feel like they can be, abusive, if you like, of YouTubers and Twitter people, because they just see it as a computer. They're not always seeing it as a person. When there is a person on the other end, and those comments, good or bad, can have different effects. And so I think myself in reading them here, at least you can get that sort of across to me directly. I also like to think I do. I try to be as responsive as I can on everything I do on the channel. I always have, and I think this is a new way of sort of connecting to you guys more. So if you're new to the new comments chat, I do this from time to time, and I would like to make it more of a regular thing. And that's dependent on the views, really, in terms of the views of the videos. Videos with me talking, doing any kind of podcast, have never done that well on the channel. People just turn up to watch the games and then go again. But I also like to do a bit of chat as well, and I thought I would just share that here. So you've got a bit of that to go on as I have a video going in front of me, and check out the comments kicking off with WRC 9 on PS5. It's just gone up the video, so there's not many comments on there, but we'll kick off from there and go through the different games. And I'll cut this video together as I find the different video files and put everything together for it. But other than that, let's crack on then. So WRC 9, obviously it's been shown on the PS5. I've mentioned in that video, I've done a podcast there, so do watch that in terms of the chat I did on that. Pretty much outlines all my issues there. Evil Goki spotted, can't wait for next gen. 4K 60 FPS should become standard. I don't think 4K 60 FPS will. I think 4K 30, 1080p 30 FPS is more likely, or 1440p. The problem is, when you move from 1080p to 4K, you lose massive amounts of graphics. There's lots of effects that will go for that, and I want to see a nice rich picture, a picture with detailed LODs, anti-aliasing, good resolution, color, textures, rich environments. 1080p can do an amazing job with that, and I still don't think we're past the 1080p, so I would like to see richer environments there. But it's nice that 4K 60 will become more of a thing, especially with some titles that perhaps aren't as taxing, and especially for previous gen games running on the new gen system. And of course GFYS Gaming Australia can't wait to do gameplay on PS5. Going to be great. Everybody feels the same. It's going to make a big difference. Joshua's still waiting for the PC release. I didn't quite understand what he was talking about there. It's already out on the PC, I thought. He's waiting for it. On Steam. I mean, they have an agreement with Epic. I honestly don't see the problem with Epic. A year or two ago, fine, they were catching up. It was a bit awkward setting up a new store. But the experience on Epic has been great, and the free games they've offered has been fantastic. I mean, Epic for me has developed really nicely. So I don't have an issue with Epic. I don't really see any issue with that whatsoever. I mean, you have plenty of stores. I do have an issue with EA creating Origin and Uplay from Ubisoft, because they're just single publishers. There's nothing else on there. I'm literally not going to play anything but an EA game. But as for a proper retail outlet, I think Epic are doing a good job there. PS5 isn't even out yet, and it's beating PC. Well, the thing is that from Bryzo, the thing is there is that you'll find that games are built around console. So they make a game for PlayStation 4 or Xbox One, and then on the PC you'll just have better detail levels, better frame rate. And it'll be the same when we move to PS5. You know, suddenly everything will upgrade. Suddenly your PC, where you've been able to run everything in ultra, suddenly you'll struggle to run it all at medium, and you'll need to upgrade in the next year or so. So there is all of that. And also do remember that they can maximize a console in a different way. They can't maximize the PC in quite the same way, because every PC has different components. So at least with a console, they can maximize that default architecture. So that's a look at WRC 9 on PS5. Now I'm going to check out some comments that have been on Pacer. Let's see what people had to say. So now on to Pacer. Last night, as I record this, we had the Epic stream, which was amazing. I mean, 1,800 people watching. I mean, who could have thought that on my Twitch streams? Really nice to see, and hopefully we'll do a bit more of this as well. If you would like to see more Pacer, do let me know in the comments. I never know what to stream. I never know what people want to watch or what will do well for the channel. In many ways, I want to stream the games I like, but I also want to stream the games that create an audience, that create a community. So for me, that's important in terms of creating that community and keeping it going. So if you'd like to see more Pacer, do let me know. Just to go through a couple of comments here. Jonathan Adams, the scale and complexity of visual design and level architecture is quite a sight to behold in a game of this aesthetic and racing feel. One question I would have is whether it's enough of a USP to keep games interested, as it shares a rich DNA with the Wipeout series. I can see Pacer certainly establishing its own community and presence about it, but for how sustainable that will be, I do wonder. I think it's always very difficult to challenge to reimagine, not reinvent the wheel, which was created by Wipeout and adopted by other racing games, if not by visual design, at least in principle of gameplay. Though all considered, it looks a promising title. Jonathan always does epic long questions, but they're considered points. To start from the beginning then, whether it's enough of a USP. If you look at it, we've got an open market. We've had one Wipeout game in this gen. Sony have literally dropped the ball when it comes to Wipeout. The problem is people who experience the modern Wipeout. For me, it's not modern Wipeout. It's not modern Wipeout. It's not Wipeout as it was. It's changed. The handling I thought was horrible on the new Wipeout game. I didn't like it at all. Didn't play it much. Played it, massively disappointed. Graphics were lovely, but the handling started to go away on the PS3 version. And it was gone on the PS4 version, and it was impressive and it was amazing in VR and it was all these things. But in terms of handling, you know, when you go out and play Redout, suddenly you feel this fluidity, but not only the fluidity of Redout, the twin stick design. It just, everything felt right. And it's a real shame because I'm a fan of Wipeout 1, massive fan. When Wipeout 2097 came out, I felt they dumbed it down a bit. I've told Nick Burkham this myself, and he knows my opinions on it. I felt they dumbed it down. You could scrape the walls. Because you could scrape the walls, they made the tracks more convoluted, more difficult. So it gave them gameplay angles. In fact, he says himself he prefers 2097. That was his true vision. But I still feel that Wipeout 1 was just a point of genius. Whether anybody knew or not, it just all happened. It went into place. And I think that when you look at something like that, it's hard to recreate that. And I think as Wipeout went on, it changed. And even though I played a lot of Wipeout 3 and Wipeout Fusion, I do feel that they need to rediscover their soul. And for me, it's gone as a Wipeout brand in that sense. Does this game capture it? Yes and no. The visuals are there, the tracks look incredible, but the handling's not there. The fluidity in the handling's not there. However, I did notice that when you changed ships and you changed aspects of your craft, you could gradually bring that into it more and more. So there was a lot there to be good about, but I felt the way that it may not even be the physics, it may partially be the way the viewer's camera moves. It's very much like angular like that. It's not a cushion of air all the time. And I feel that Wipeout is all about a cushion of air moving around softly under the craft. So there is that. So having a Wipeout there's literally nothing to compete against. I mean, in 7 years, we've had Wipeout, we've had Redout. That's it. F-Zero's been dropped by Nintendo, and there's nothing else in that particular genre as it stands. So it's been a really it's a big open world if someone can actually get that right. How sustainable is that? Depends how big a community they build. I think sustainability depends on, these days, sadly, it depends on the culture of making something big. Like you look at the Fortnite audience, you want kids to go into school the next day and say, "Hey, everybody, did you see the new did you see the new Pacer skin? Did you see the new Pacer gimmick mode? Are people wearing funny hats on YouTube or Twitch, discussing your game in some way?" I think you need to appeal to the young so that you create that playground culture. And that's very hard to do with something like this, because this game it's strange. It appeals to a young and an old audience alike, but in different ways. You've really got to build that audience in terms of keeping it going long term. I look at Redout, and Redout had no longevity at all. Nobody even noticed it. It was invisible to people. It's a real shame. It's one of the finest racing games ever made. If I made a video on it, nobody would watch it, and that's a crying shame. But it's just the way commercial media is. People would rather play a Need for Speed game that was substandard than play something that's pretty genius like that. And that's the world we live in right now. The sad part is, if it's like Drive Club, everyone's like, "Oh, they shut down Drive Club. Oh no, Drive Club is the best game ever." When Drive Club came out, I made Drive Club videos. Nobody watched them. I kept making them because I liked playing it and I thought it looked really cool. Nobody watched them. Nobody was interested. And then as soon as they said, "Right, Drive Club's going," suddenly all these Drive Club fans came out the woodwork. Drive Club was the best game ever. It's winning on votes here and there. And I'm thinking, well, where were all these people a couple of years ago, when I was the only person pretty much making videos on it and nobody cared and nobody wanted to see it? Very strange, but it's the way it works. We've seen it over many years with niche games that create a following. People wonder why, Richard Burns Rally didn't sell. The company STI went out of business. It was a disaster. Everyone goes on about Richard Burns Rally. Yes, but it didn't get supported. It didn't get promoted at the time it was released. Nobody cared. And it's a crying shame. But that's the way it is with these things. DM2E says, "You play very well. Thank you for the Pacer video. As a Wipeout fan, would love to learn more about the differences we're handling." Again, pretty much as I've said, really, the differences we're handling is the angular turning in Pacer. It's very rigid, whereas Wipeout is just a fluid motion. You can go with a course. I do find that in general you can judge corners with just the stick control better in Wipeout. With Pacer, you're very much using analog air brakes more to control the turns through the corner, and that will vary craft to craft. Davey Lau, "I played this after watching your Twitch stream blow up with viewers. Congrats on that, by the way." Thank you, Davey. Anyways, like I was saying, I played it and I'm loving it. The driving mechanics feel good. It's a great game. Now, if only they can add cross-play, bring the player base together. Absolutely. Key area there, Davey's highlighted, that connects to what Jonathan was saying earlier. Cross-play is vital for this game. Absolutely vital. Because it brings that small audience together and that creates a bigger audience. And then you get a snowball effect as well. Fraseries says, "I love the floatiness and Wipeout. It gave the vehicles a certain weight. None of the current races of this type have ballistic NG. It's pretty close to it though." That's it. I think this is the point. We're sort of a different generation, and I think not everyone knows it. Not everyone's experienced it. And I think that's the point. You need to experience many games to form an opinion, and I think that's where a lot of people have formed it on very little, comparatively speaking. But I enjoyed this game. It was brilliant, someone would say. And you say, yes, but have you played these others? And sometimes you've got to play them in context. You've got to play them how they were then and how they are now. I mean, Wipeout was way ahead of its time. A lot of people couldn't play it at the time. It was too hard for people. At the same time, Wipeout was a big deal. There would be people queuing for it on launch day. You wouldn't have that now. The world has sort of changed around Wipeout, but people would at the same time for say, Need for Speed, sadly. Spy Rally, something I like about Pacers and to a degree Formula Fusion's track design is that I personally think it's as close as we've gotten to seeing what 29.7 XL circuits would look like in HD. Their sense of scale is fantastic, and I agree. The sense of scale is fantastic. The circuits look amazing. The new circuits in particular. The Formula Fusion ones were okay, but the Pacer circuits take it to a whole different level. I loved some of those last night, especially in the elite class, which was a bit crazy, but I did enjoy it. 533 named second track Wipeout was Carbonis 5. I can somewhat see the connection in that section winding through the trees. Exactly. Towards the end of you sort of bounce and you swing like that. It's a very similar style to it. Hank Baxter says he's surprised that Storm Mode tells me he doesn't play Battle Royales. I responded to that. Racing in bubbles is very different to experience to zonal combat. We'll have to wait and see how good it works online. So yeah, not much connection to Battle Royale there. I guess that my first experience of Battle Royale was Battle Royale, the Japanese movie. Of course, when I had to move to a zone and everyone had to kill each other on the island. But that's another thing entirely. Ultraviolet looks good. We need more games like this. Well, we do, but it's an indie game. It won't get marketed well. It requires you guys to market it, to tell people about it, to like it, because the bigger games come, bigger publishers, bigger magazines. This game has no marketing budget behind it compared to, say, Need for Speed. I'm going to use Need for Speed as a good example. They will do big ad campaigns, and that gives them big support and weight. So it really is up to you, the consumer, to make a difference. Mellow Baton. If people are looking for more retro Wipeout feel, Ballistic NG probably fits better. Get both. Why not get them, support them all? Ballistic NG, Redout. Support all these games. I mean, I don't see Redout mentioned once, and it's a crying shame. The soundtrack, everything in that game is just truly something else. I'm pretty sure I played this under a different name. I mentioned there Formula Fusion from my new name. Brian Faubert, are there any other controllers ideal for this besides dual analog stick? And I answered that one about, no, it's pretty much a controller. You could use a hot ass and pedals, but nothing would be as good as a control pad for this. No Name, nice try. Well, that's two actually, with my new name and No Name. Nice try. Wipeout's king ever for me, 96. It always will be king. I think that, but it's old. We'd like to play a new version of something that's a homage. Some of the people involved in this game were involved in Wipeout 3, as I understand it. So there's a bit of homage there. And so, you can enjoy this as well. The Kiddie, I've looked on Xbox Store, nothing. It's been delayed on Xbox. They have a technical problem, and so they're going to fix that as well. And Russian name there, Wipeout 2020, it kind of is. And so Vil Remedy, pick a route, male or female. I've no idea what you're on about. Buck just actually played Wipeout LOL G's. He got into a bit of a debate with me here. I said it's always good to keep the genre alive, especially while Sony don't do enough with the Wipeout brand, which obviously they don't. Having said that, I haven't particularly enjoyed the recent Wipeout games earlier. As I just said to you guys now, Redout was far superior, which it was. More tracks, more content, more modes, better design, everything that's in there. So, opinion, not fact, he came back to me. Absolutes from the first sentence. Just because you played a little doesn't make you a Wipeout player. Just because these games are so far dumbed down doesn't make you a better player. This is quite interesting because I thought to myself, well, it's a fact that Sony have let the Wipeout brand fall away. That's a fact. They haven't done anything with it. One game in years. They didn't really do much of it on PS3, really. They released one game, but it wasn't really marketed properly at the time. It was released, I think, as digital only. That was a big disappointment to fans. So, really, they haven't. It's a fact that the handling has been dumbed down from the original. Indeed, I discussed that with the original designer, Nick Burkham, and he wouldn't agree with me dumbed down at all. But the reality is, by scraping the walls and changing the fluidity of the craft, you lost the soul of the original game. I know that. You made it more approachable. I know that. But there was still, the challenge wasn't the same. It's a bit like adding DRS in Formula One. We don't want DRS. We want cars to actually overtake each other without an aid. An aid is not curing the problem. It's just avoiding the issue. No opinion. I've said more observational reference in terms of Redout, in terms of various experience. And that's for me. I observe the depth of handling, the movement of the craft. But I thought that was a rather unusual opinion, not fact. And I thought, well, I haven't really gone into doesn't make, just because you played a little doesn't make you a Wipeout player. Well, I played more than a little. So it's a bit of an unusual comment there, very strange from Buck. He says here, awful, no variation, no skill, just wide dummy tracks, no skill cuts. Well, obviously he is the gatekeeper of Formula One, of Wipeout, so we'll leave it there with Buck. Sith Metal, Dev, just announced Xbox version delayed due to a bug. It's delayed. What the hell is the point of putting in submission only to find a bug last minute? Rah, rah. This is the whole point of putting into submission, to make sure the game runs okay. Now a last minute bug has appeared. Not happy after months of waiting, and will not be buying this game. What a huge disappointment this developer is. They say it will take a few weeks to fix. What a joke. Cancelled. Rah, rah. So I replied to that. Obviously, if they knew about this bug sooner, they would have fixed it. Obviously. The point of submission is a form of quality control. These things happen. Cut the guys some slack. They've been working on this for years. For years. The reason they find bugs is they want to fix them. Do you want them to release it of a game-breaking bug? Oh, they should know everything in the history of the world. Listen, games have bugs. Developers are working really hard, especially small indie developers like this, to put something together. So cut them some slack. Yeah, cut them some slack. If you don't support the game and you don't support the genre, you won't get any more futuristic floaty white racing games anytime soon. And who knows, if this does well, you might get a new Wipeout on PS5, and that's what we all want. But that concludes this look at Pacer. Now I'm going to see what else is on the channel. So now we're going to take a look at WRC 9, the Finland update video. Did a couple of videos this week. I did a stream video on the channel. Didn't do very well. A bit disappointing. People said to me, "Oh, few people said we'd like to see the stream on the channel. Don't watch Twitch." But if the stream edits don't get that many views, I'll just do edits on highlights on Twitch and leave them there. But every now and again, you know, watch the streams. Watch the streams. Check them out and see what I'm up to. I also did a GoPro video. Didn't do that great. I was hoping it would do a bit better, so probably won't do any more parts on that. And I did first look part 1 of the October update, but it came out so late that there's no time to produce part 2, and it didn't do well enough really in terms of the views for the amount of work that it takes to make these videos. It takes a week, and the DLC got released sooner than was expected. I was expecting to have 2 or 3 really good videos out, and we were going to build this amazing collection of exclusive content, and it was out within 24 hours, less than 24 hours of the video, so it's not going to work in that way. I mean, there's one thing on YouTube is you've got to get your views, you know, in terms of content creation. So WRC 9 Finland update. Let's see what people had to say there. Akira Yamaoka. WRC 9 is so great. Finland is one of the pinnacle track locations in rally as well. Jumps everywhere. Absolutely, they've done a fine job there. Panvik, good video and nice stage. Thank you, Panvik. Hopefully Wales will get a similar treatment down the line. It's felt quite outdated a few years now already. Not too bad. Not too bad, Wales, actually. I mean, I think the Great Orme looks good. I think that the off-road areas, for the most part, look all right, especially the weather conditions. So not too bad there. I think there's other stages in the game that perhaps could do with a bit more detail. But let's face it, these new stages are much better than what were previously in the game, so anything they do add will be great. On a side note, do you know whether they fixed the overly dark cockpit from Dashcam? I've answered that already. No, they haven't, sadly, and I hope they do, because it really does make it difficult to impossible to see at times. Jack Anderson, thanks for the detailed update, Alan. Reminds me I need to play this more. A good thing. Cheers. Jay PXE, a nice stage. Do you know any date when the update drops? See you in the stream. Well, that's out now, obviously. Fuki 118, nice new Finland stages, look fantastic. Paul Hibbard, great content as always, Alan. Thank you. Thank you, Paul. Bertie, hi, Alan. Thanks for the video. Did you previously notice any micro stutter? I think there's always improvements. There's always a bit of micro stutter, but they've improved a lot this year, even from last year. So there's always improvements there. I haven't done graphics tests in terms of minimizing everything down. I think you start off with really low settings and you see if there's any stutter, and then you build it and build it and build it in terms of detail there to find out when the stutter comes in. If VSync is turned on, are you still getting a stutter? What's causing that? Is it something to do with textures, detail? I don't know. It depends how the graphics engine works and how it processes the stage. Sado 463, nice video. Really happy they added to Finland. Stoked about photo mode. Dirt Rally 2 really misses that. I finally picked up WRC 9 the other day and I had a few runs in the Corolla and it was great fun. Good man, great game. Discovering playthroughs, first time role plays. This game has a lot of content. I hope more get on this game to show off developers what happens when you take care of your customer, the gamer. It's great. I mean, the free DLC, or not DLC, free updates. I mean, it is DLC, it's downloadable content and it's free. It's great. That's what we want. They're supporting it, adding more stages. They don't need to. They could just add a few cars, but they're adding new stages and it just keeps the game alive, and the photo mode. I mean, I think next month or pretty soon we've got the co-driver update as well. I'll be making a video on that or two. I'm looking forward to that and seeing how it turns out. Kian, But yeah, we're going to just leave the key in. So far, I'm loving the update. One thing though that's still really bugging me in WRC though is Dirt Rally. I could do single events and personal best at the end, and repeat and fight that time. Now that's a question for the developers in terms of adding various options like that. Make a note to Nakon. They might not reply, but I think it's worth highlighting any elements that you see, because I don't play as much Dirt Rally 2. I don't keep up on all of the direct elements, but it's worth letting them know, because if there's aspects of gameplay that you feel could add to competitiveness and detail, then let them know. I mean, for me, I think the windscreens are a key issue that need to be fixed. I also think replays could do with being improved ever more as well, and I think next gen will help that, and just adding the atmosphere and the stages and getting everything working as well as it can. Really, it's just bringing it all together now. They've got a lot of elements there. I would also like some more crowd as well. I hope on the next gen we do get more crowds in there, because I really do feel that sometimes on WRC games or rally games in general, Dirt's the same. Dirt Rally, there's not enough people. When you go to a rally event, there's crowds. You still have them safe behind some trees, but just build some more crowds and atmosphere. I do feel that you miss that in some of these events. Anders, I never liked Finland in the WRC games, but this is on par with the rest of Kiloton's stage design. Absolutely. Kev M Scotland, still doesn't look like they fixed the windscreen tint for onboard cams. No, we've been over that. It's a bit of a shame. Turge Sugan, I'm saying the name completely wrong there. There's probably a different way of saying that. Destroyed the name, but thank you for tuning in as ever, and to the streams as well. Shadow on the streams, of course, and I do appreciate your tuning in and watching the stages. About photo mode, can you rewind, select a moment? Do you have to fiercely press the photo buttons? You do have to fiercely press it. Sadly, then this is a key thing. Photo mode is not available from the replay, which is a real pain. And I think that is a key thing I'm going to highlight to Nakon myself, because we can't, you get that moment where you think, I wish I took a photograph at that point, but unless you know it's coming, you can't pause, and then you have to pause the game at a vital moment. So if you're going sideways over a jump and you think, wow, you've got to pause it and then unpause and try and land, it's impossible. So at the moment, there's things you can do, but hopefully the developers can work on that and bring it in. I will highlight that. Nesty doesn't sponsor Rally Finland anymore, so they will change to 1,000 Lakes again. We'll see that next year, no doubt. I deserve more wives, man, from Nico. No, views. GFYS, will we be able to upgrade to PS5 edition if we own PS4? I believe you will. I think that's all handled in the trailer, so there'll be a free update. 8898 Gamer, thanks for information. Thank you. It's a shame they don't release telemetry for base shakers or displays, Mario. It's all on the list, isn't it? I hope that we can get there eventually. I think they've had to come from so far behind to catch up that things like triple screen, VR, telemetry, base shakers, certain types of wheel, there's lots of little things that you'd think, I wish they could have put that in there. But another core issue, of course, next year is going to be a real focus, or at least I would like to see a focus on improving the audio. I think we've got this echoey audio issues. I need to get on top of that, especially with classic cars. You really need that audio note that's very different. Blair noticed that they didn't run Rally Finland. My footage that I had from the latest Rally Finland, my latest folder was last year's Finland Rally, and my head was in the wrong place there. Silly, really, because I was at the rally earlier this year watching them go round. I'm seeing Ott Tanak there in his Toyota or something, and he's now in a Hyundai, and I've seen him in the Hyundai. Of course, he had a big crash at Monte Carlo earlier this year when I was over there, and that was quite a heavy impact. So other than that, I'm going to just speed through it now. I think I've been through the core things. This video is going on a bit now, so we do get tons and tons of comments. I'm just going to finish off and say, a big thank you to all of you who are commenting on the videos. I try to go through these when I can. If you have questions and comments on this video, put them in here and I will include it in my next Your Comments chat as well. And do join me on the streams where you can actually get those questions to me directly, live, no editing at all, and I try to keep this as well with as few edits as possible. I just want it to be my natural thoughts, uncut, giving it to you guys. But that's it from me for now on this video, looking at various questions and aspects to do with our recent videos, and there'll be more from me very soon. Hello viewers, well thanks for watching the video today. Do like and subscribe, it supports what we do. Do become a YouTube member. YouTube Patreon supports all of our content you see on the channel, and of course lots of gaming from retro to modern games. I love it all in terms of racing action. So click on one of the two videos just there to find out more.